Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Party Invite Show. My name is Tegan down here, and I'm joined today by Vilos.
That's me.
It's just the two of us today. Sob's out, Chris is out. We are likely to not have a show next week because I'm going out to a concert I'm very excited about. I love going to shows, and I'd love to talk to you about it, but this is a show about video games and not music. Maybe I'll come back next time with some Blissin' Up good news, something that made me smile. But you know, let's see. Let's kick off this show with a little blissing up in chat. I'm asking for your input here. What's something that happened in your life, something that you read, gaming or non-gaming, something that just put a smile on your face? Maybe you just got to cuddle with your cat. Maybe you finished a TV show. Maybe you played some more of a game, or took some cool pictures out as spring is starting to spring. You know. So let's see. For my blissing up, I could say a couple things here. I'm really thankful for the nice weather right now, but something I just saw today is as we have finished up some survival games here in our community, and we've been trying new games lately. And in fact, tomorrow we'll be playing another new game. We'll be playing Leap, which has a free weekend this weekend. Sav will be leading the charge on that. So those of you listening right now, that'll be tomorrow on Friday at 7 Central. Sav talked about Leap. It's kind of a mix of like Titanfall and I think it looks like PlanetSide and a few others. But the important thing is it's free to play. So you can hop in. It's team based, huge, massive battlefields and all this stuff. But come around and play that. But we've finished up some survival games recently, like Sons of the Forest. We did a while ago. We tried a game called Dead Frontier 2. It wasn't very good. But with the power of friendship, we still had a good time. And this, that, and the other. But Don't Starve has worked its way back into our rotation, and I know Fuzzy Man Peach here has been playing that with me in our Discord. That's been nice because we've started a beginner world that's a little bit easier on details. Or on the settings. So where normally the game would lower your max health when you die. So like once you start dying, you are more likely to die over and over and over again, especially in the wintertime. You freeze to death and you spawn with no winter clothes. It's really brutal. But we've turned a bunch of those settings down and we've been enjoying it. That's in Don't Starve Together, which is the multiplayer version of Don't Starve, but they are two separate games. So when a patch goes to one game, it does not go to the other. Well, I bring that up because Don't Starve Together has had way more success or popularity certainly than the single player game. So they've focused development on the multiplayer version only. What that's meant is that while the single player version it's kind of branched off in a different direction. In the single player there are different DLCs where you can experience island life, which is very dangerous, or you can be in a hamlet. Like that's the name of the DLC is Hamlet, and you're supposed to be hanging out with pigs, like the pig people, and all this. I don't know. I'm excited to check it out, but I don't know a whole lot about it because I don't play a lot of the single player version. Well, I say all of this to say today was their huge quality of life update that brings the single player game more in line with the multiplayer game. So it's not a lot of new things, but it's the better, more familiar things that we know from Don't Starve Together, the multiplayer. It's all in the single player now, which makes it a lot easier to swap from one to the other. And I'm trying to get recruits to kind of play through and almost have a competition, like a loose competition, of playing the single player and seeing, you know, who can do the best, but then huddling to like share our secrets and stuff. Because I love a game like that where you can share your secrets and you don't have to go to a wiki, but you can still feel like you're growing, like you're getting better at this same pace as your friends. So all that's a whole lot, but Don't Starve, has a special place in my heart. And to see that single player, which I originally found first, to see that get brought back into the fold and allow me to experience those wonderful quality of life updates that happened. I mean, almost like a year ago or more to the multiplayer version. It's good stuff. So that made me smile. If we don't have a show next week, then I can tell you Darkest Dungeon 2 will be out, and so I'll definitely get my hands on that. I'll be excited for that. That's been in early access for a long time. So yeah, 1.0 on May 8th. Really looking forward to that. And whatever, I could go on. There's actually been a lot of good stuff in the news, just funny things and cool things and gaming news. And I won't dig into all that. But if anybody's interested out there, check out our Discord. We've got a wonderful news channel that means you don't have to doom scroll. It's great. We love it. But enough of me flapping my lips. Let's see. I know for all you KC folks, you Kansas City folks, the NFL draft is happening. And it's interesting to see people's takes on that, both hot and cold. So yeah, if any of you
Yeah.
guys are doing that stuff this week, holler about it. I am
The
interested.
the message came out, I think it was about 30-40 minutes ago. Actually, no, it was over an hour ago. They officially said that they were not allowing any more people in. So, and it'll be in waves. If people leave, if people don't leave,
If people leave, who's
it
leaving?
won't open back up. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
Well, I mean, what did people expect? It's a really popular event. Um, and when we had like the Chiefs victory parade and stuff for the Super Bowl and all that, like you can see what happens when a ton of people show up to a city that's pretty small. There's just not, what are you gonna do? Everybody comes from all over for something like that. I mean, you like literally have the whole Midwest. It feels like congregating to enjoy that. But yeah, so excited to hear how the NFL draft goes over the next week. If anybody's interested in that stuff, you should actually hit up Chris, who is usually not able to join us on Thursdays. But that's the day we record. You should hit him up. He loves the draft. He loves making projections, and he loves that sports betting is legal now. He's always had so much fun doing that stuff. So, um, yeah, holler at us with that. But enough of stuff that made us smile. The smiling segment is over. No more. Everybody calm down. I'm talking about you, Lord Chrome. Quit smiling, all
Yeah,
right?
he was definitely smiling real hard
Yeah,
over the past few minutes.
he's smiling really hard about how much he likes the draft. So let's get into what we've been playing. I mean, it's the two of us, so it should be short and sweet. But Chad, as always, let us know here on Twitch. And for anybody listening in the future, hit us up on our Facebook group, our Instagram, our Twitter, and on our Discord. Let us know what's good. Are you playing new stuff? Are you playing comfort food? I know I personally had a lot of comfort food this week, a lot of samey same. But I did pick up one, and Vilos, I'm jumping in before you here because I just want to kick back and listen to everything you've got to say about the new Xenoblade content. So don't worry,
Oh
Chad.
boy.
It's on the way. It's on the way. But I picked up Chivalry 2 with a buddy of mine. Chivalry 2 is on Game Pass. It came out a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago. Probably
Yeah, I think
closer
it's
to two
closer to
years.
2 years. It
And
was a very early podcast.
yeah, and I remember that was when I didn't have my PC even set up when I first moved to Seattle. Like I didn't have anything because my my stuff got stolen. Oh, and I should say my other blissing up is my new power supply showed up, so I shouldn't be crashing anymore. And if I do, I'm gonna cry. But until then, I'm gonna smile. Power supply did not get stolen like my first all-in-one cooler did. That was a real bummer. So while my computer was offline, I got to watch everybody, Mortis among others, play a bunch of Chivalry 2. And it is a medieval, sword and shield castle combat kind of game. It's all first or third person. I've looked up some tips, and it says that I should try out third person. I haven't done it yet, but it's probably good. You gotta get a lot more peripheral. So this is a game where, you hit C to do a battle cry, and your character just lets out this roar that lasts like 20 seconds. It's so extreme. It's so extreme. Um, I'll get some footage here going in a second, but I played this with my buddy. We both went in brand new, so like I've seen the game, but I had not played it. Uh, I am pretty bad. It's a little more complicated than I expected. Um, there seems to be a pretty high ceiling for the skill here because essentially the game wants you to pay very, very close attention to what attack the enemy is about to do and specifically respond to it in that short window of time that you have before they hit you. So yeah, it can be pretty difficult at first, but there are bot modes and stuff which I need to try out. Um, but yeah, here we've got this battle. Let's see, they all start just like this, where you've got a siege of some sort. You're defending or attacking a city. You have one objective at a time, but they'll slowly, like the attackers will try to break open your wall, your gates, right? And you try to stop them or at least stall them as long as possible. And then, I'm almost always on the losing team. So let's say I'm on defense. They say, "Oh, we've lost the gates. Everybody fall back." And so, as you're getting overrun, you can either try to respawn or just appear at the safe zone way further back in your castle, or you can just keep fighting until you die. But you're running around with all these weapons that you can choose from, and you can pick weapons up off the ground as well. You can also throw any weapon, which is dope. So throwing my halberd happened a lot. Uh, but you've got all these attacks that look very similar, but the arc of your swing is is very precise. It's very true to what the enemy player is seeing, and so they want to specifically move to counter. So remember when Breath of the or not Breath of the Wild, when Skyward Sword first came out, and Nintendo was on stream, on stage, teaching you, when they're blocking this way, you need to attack this way. And vice versa. If you want to block, you need to do it the opposite way. This game really wants you to aim at where the point of their weapon is going to hit you. And so when you pay attention to it, it feels really good when that happens. Uh, the combat is just chaotic. There are constantly waves of enemies spawning in. So anytime you spawn in, you're also spawning with like 10 other people. And the matches are 20 versus 20. So as you can see here, everybody mashes their battle cry button as they run in, and it's pretty funny because a lot of them are like jokes. Like you're in one battle cry, your character will like roar, "Kill all the Masons," or "For Agatha," which are the two different teams. But then they'll also be like, "I have no idea what's happening," and all of this. So it's very referential. Like the game is at the same time hilarious, but also epic. I'm getting my ass kicked a lot, but when I run into these battles, I really feel like I feel like a cool soldier. And in the multiplayer mode, I think that every player is a character. I definitely cannot confirm that, but I think that that's true. And then there's an alternate queue that throws about 5 humans on each team, in the 20 versus 20. So 5 humans in there, and then everyone else is a bot. So that's a little bit easier. I've been trying that, but still somehow losing, because the human players that join that are also still pretty good, even though it seems like a tutorial mode. But this game is just chaotic. You can repair and destroy catapults and battering rams and all of this. You can pick up barrels to throw at the enemy. And if you find food, like you can heal, like their bandages you can hand out to people on a certain class. There are 4 classes. And every player, I think, has a bandage on their person that they can only use on themselves that will fully heal you, but it's gonna go really slowly. I think every time there's like uh, I think it's when there's a wave of people respawning. I'm not sure. Oh wow, this lobby had 32 versus 32. That's crazy. That's a lot of people. But yeah, this game's fun. Let's see. Let me get this full screen on here. You're about to watch us lose. I have the top cut off, but yep, there we go. Defeat. So this is a screen that I'm very familiar with. This is most of my time playing this game is the defeat screen. But what can you do? Fortunately, it's a game that losing doesn't feel that bad on, because I feel like I still get cool combat stuff in. I just get cool moments and all that. Let's play this again. But yeah, game's cool. Playing a game with my friend, brand new, where we just wanted something that was fresh to both of us, because a lot of stuff I've played before and I try to rope people into, right? So it was nice for us both going in and just figuring it out. They have a surprisingly complex tutorial. In a couple places, it still could have been a little more idiot-proof because I, stumbled all over it. But most of it I figured out. I think I would recommend playing this on mouse and keyboard, but once I got the hang of it, it was pretty good on controller as well. Something that I never thought of is when you swing your weapon, the game teaches you that it's like a tip that people give for Reinhardt in Overwatch. It's that if you think about where the tip of your weapon is when you swing it, let's say if I'm swinging to my left, I want to turn my character's body to the left so that the very side of my screen, the very tip of my sword, hits them uh, the quickest. And likewise, if I do a swing to my right, then I want to turn my body to the right so that the end of my sword reaches them faster. But it's lots of little things like that where moving and dragging your screen around is really recommended. You've got to do it. I've been pretty much only playing in single player, or first person mode, but the internet does say third person. That would give me way better peripheral uh, vision because you're constantly going up. You're constantly outnumbered. Just everybody's outnumbered all the time somehow on both teams. Uh, so having more ability to see around me would be great. So I'm going to try that out and give it a shot. But this was not only a fun game to watch, like the player play, but when there was a big squad on, two, three, four, five, six people. Uh, you have such a huge battle going on. So when you'd see your friends do something cool or stupid on the battlefield next to you, I mean that's half the fun is hearing your friends just like call out and roar and get wrecked. You know how it is. But that's really it's really fun. Vilas, you were saying you're thinking about maybe picking this up. I hope we get a bunch of people to do this because, like I said, it is on Game Pass. It does have crossplay as well, so you can play this. I think it's on each of the major platforms except Switch. I'll double check though.
Mhm. That said, I do think it actually is leaving Game Pass very soon.
Okay, well,
Maybe even over the weekend.
no way. Are you serious? Okay, we're gonna.
I'm pretty sure I saw it on the Game Pass app earlier today.
Okay, this is red alert, everybody. We got to get details on this. I'm gonna cry real tears. Well, I'm gonna look that up while you tell us about your game. But yeah, Chivalry 2. I'm gonna find out if we can actually play it after this weekend because this weekend is all about Leap. I did accidentally buy it on Steam, not realizing that I had it on Game Pass. So for those that will still own it somehow, I'm there for you. You know, but uh, yeah. So enough about that. Enough about the medieval combat. Vilos, I want to hear about a game that you've been very excited for. I feel like we've been climbing the Xenoblade mountain for most of 2023, right? Like Xenoblade and Fire Emblem, I feel. And
Yeah.
right now this DLC came out, right? That I mean, I feel like I could see a tear glisten in your eye when you're talking about it last week. Uh,
Yeah, and it'll be happening later tonight as well. With that, yeah, I am playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3, the Wave 4 DLC, the final DLC for the game that is called Future Redeemed, and it is both it's a prologue to Xenoblade 3. That's like the main descriptor. Um, but at the same time, it fills in a lot of information that the fans really wanted throughout the Xeno 3 main game. Um, and it's sort of what Monolith Soft does with every title. So the first game had Future Connected, the second game had Torn of the Golden Country, and this DLC came out for the third game. So there's always just this really integral part of the narrative that's kept back for the final DLC story, and it's just spectacular. So they they officially gave us our release date last Tuesday and said it would be here on Tuesday, and I have been playing it since the second I could. Um, I literally slept played some of it.
that's how you
uh,
know it's good.
yeah, which I think I've found out that Xenoblade is probably the only game that you can actively play during sleep if absolutely necessary. If your mind is wired in that way already. Because I've tried it with, like Fire Emblem and stuff like that. But
You're saying your
no,
muscle memory is good. You could play. You
like
could literally play that game in your sleep, huh?
yeah, like you're literally falling asleep and your mind is just going and you're playing actively, and then if you pass out, your body's just like, you know what, I got this, bro. And So my official game clock is at 17 hours and some change. Again, since Tuesday night. um, but I've got about actually 13 or 14 hours of legitimate gameplay um, within 2 hours of beating it, and it's going to be bittersweet. It's an incredible game. If you want to put in the YouTube trailer, that's on there, I think. If it's not, then it's whatever.
Yeah, I'll find it.
Um,
I'll find it.
but yeah, it's really fucking good. That's the best. That's really the only thing to say about it. But Jerp and I have been talking about it on Discord, off and on. It's one of those things where the entirety of the game, it's not hitting on nostalgia necessarily, but it's one of those things that's like, hey, Xenoblade 3 was the game that brings together um, what is effectively 13 years of games for Monolith Soft. And uh, when we get to this, we have direct references to the whole series in this final package. And I know by the end of this, we're going to know where the future of Xenoblade or whatever the next official saga is going to be. Um, but it is a very emotional ride. We're literally playing in Future Redeemed some of these characters that are the ancestors of the characters in the main game. Like, we're talking hundreds of years. They still haven't officially defined the number of years for sure. Like, there's so many things that are metaphorical in this fucking universe. It's ridiculous. But at the same time, it makes sense, and you're intrigued, and you want to go further into this game because the lore is so deep and it is slightly imperfect. Like, that the people that created it know what they meant. They just have a little bit of a hard time getting that across, right?
I can relate to
'Cause-
that. I can relate to that.
yeah, but at the same time, like, you see all these characters that some of them are hints at previous characters, some of them are previous characters.
That character had
Uh,
two different colored eyes. It looked like. Is that two characters?
Technically, no. That is for the Ouroboros reason.
Oh, right, right.
In this game, the Ouroboros is this power that you get, um, that basically makes them protagonists. But
You are
at the
now
end of the
player
day,
one.
yeah, I'm not gonna get into that because it'll be ridiculous. But yeah, this DLC, like, I feel like Xenoblade is the only DLC that I'll ever officially be like this, but this is a completely uh unique story. Like, other DLCs never come to this kind of point. Like, Chrome mentioned the expansion for the last Fire Emblem Engage, and that one seems cool. It just recently came out with the final wave of that, but what they did with that was basically everything that happens in the main game. They just made you the bad guy at the start.
Good.
That seems to be the entirety of that expansion. And slight spoiler for Engage, I'm not gonna straight up say it all, but uh, because it's in the fucking main cutscene before you even start the game. But
Yeah, there's always a question. Is it a spoiler if it happens in the first 5 minutes? You
yeah,
know.
yeah, but well, clearly the main character, Alir, the Divine Dragon in Engage, very obviously has something to do with being the bad guy, um, in the main game, and it only happens like 20 chapters in or something. But the what's called the Fell expansion of Fire Emblem literally just flips the script
What
the other
is
way,
Fell? Fire
and
Emblem last expansion is what the L stands for.
yeah, it's no Fell, the Fell expansion.
Yeah,
Uh,
Fire
so
Emblem, and then something that starts with an L. Yeah, I know how acronyms work.
So, Fel, you're either in the world of Fire Emblem, you're either a divine dragon, a good dragon, or a fell dragon, a bad dragon. Um,
Are they green? Are they like glowing neon green, please?
no, they're glowing red.
Ooh, new
Glowing red.
fell.
The
Ooh.
green is closer to the good colors in Fire
Oh.
Emblem,
Wow.
but
Well, the turntables.
but not that's not to say that that the Fire Emblem expansion is bad or anything like that.
Just
It's
because they're
just
evil
lesser,
doesn't
all
mean they're
right.
bad. Okay, it's different. It's different.
it's it's just lesser. Nobody does DLC like Monolith Soft does,
I thought you were
and
gonna say no one does DLC lesser than they do.
oh, certainly somebody does. EA. Um, but yeah, the quality of the Xenoblade expansion is just stupid. It is just an extension of Xenoblade 3, but at the same time, there are things that make it better, and it's just amazing to me that things can continue getting better. With literally every release of Xenoblade games, something has increasingly gotten better, and substantially gotten better, honestly. Um, from 1 to 2, it was the characterization and the actual plot. I know people will disagree with me on that, but that is the case. Um, because Xenoblade 1, you're at 80% of the way through the game and like the third or fourth twist, and you're just like, please just fucking end. Like, I don't need another narrative thing. Like, just stop it. Uh, and then Xenoblade 2 is like, no, no, for real. This is all real shit. Like, it's just happening. You're almost to the end, and you're like, okay, thank you. I can have my characters can have some relief. Okay, great. And then Xenoblade 3 is like, hey, remember that extra convoluted combat? Like, we just made it stupid simple, but also it's even more complicated. So if you liked the complicated, it's even better.
Then if we got the game for you.
Yes. Um, and they automated some things to make things easier for you too. Like they just made things easier to handle. They made the narrative uh, still stupidly complex, but also easier to digest in smaller doses. And then this final DLC of Xenoblade 3 is more characters that two characters that we already know and love, um, but new versions of them, old versions of them, and
Do they kiss?
some no, no, they
Oh,
don't.
well,
No. I know people would be remiss, but they're both daddies. I know we've had that discussion already with Sav on on the case, but um,
we've all seen if you haven't, just pretend you have. We've all seen Prometheus or whichever one that is with where Michael Fassbender gets
oh yeah, yeah,
handsy, little
yeah,
smoochy with
yeah,
himself.
yeah. Covenant, yeah.
Yep. I,
David, the android, he just he gets it, you know.
Look, when you're like the top being, you know, what else? What else would you want?
Perfection begets perfection. That's
Is that
all that he can have.
that is the movie? I thought it was. Is that Michael Fassbender from Covenant, or is that from
Yeah,
when he was
it's
Magneto?
Covenant.
Okay, in my head I thought it
Yeah.
was one of the X-Men Future Past movies. That's
No, no, it's him as David. Um, but yeah, there's not any like I would have to spoil things in order to really fully have anybody grasp it. But the cool thing is like the game literally brings you characters that you love. All right, it brings in some character types that you may have maybe just a little bit played in the main game, and it makes them the stars of this one. So there's a character called Gondor in the main game, and she fights with her fists. I She was a hero character, so as a hero character, she does her own thing. So you technically don't play as a hero character. Um, but the way the class system works, you could inherit her class and use it on another character. But her class was cool. I never fucking used it.
Oh,
Like
what?
I just didn't use her class, and so
You're like,
this
look, if
DLC
she
comes
doesn't
out and it's
have
like, here
cat
you go.
ears, I don't want her on my team.
I mean, pretty close
I
to
mean, is
that,
that what
yeah.
happened? Maybe.
It's very close to what happened. But no, her character is awesome. But when that happened, it's like, hey, listen, this is one of the least played classes probably, and we're just gonna switch it up on you. You're gonna have to play as this one. and it's just a really cool thing that the developers would do to make you more interested. And it starts you off with just two classes, this fist fighting type, martial artist type, and a healer. And that's the way these games go. And the DLC, they switch things up to make sure that you have the full experience, instead of just trying to bash your way through the game, which is
True.
near impossible in the Xenoblade series. Anybody that knows can tell you that you got to be really good to just go on the offensive and actually get through it.
Well, do you mean
Um,
offensive like during each battle, or in the way that you approach the battles altogether?
oh boy, uh,
Well,
it's
because I mean,
it's a
are you
lot.
saying that you should not just grind your way up, or are you saying,
You
um,
can definitely grind your way up. I am saying, particularly if you only try to play offensive characters in this RPG, it's not going to work out for you.
got it?
um, because you've got six available. You've got more than six
Oh, you'd
available
be
classes
crazy
to
not to.
use.
You're like,
Yeah,
you
you have
deserve
to
to
become
lose
good at
if you're
all of
not.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you'll just get into a fight and be overwhelmed in 2 seconds if you're not using your healers and your defenders adequately. So it's just a near perfect game, I would say. Xenoblade 3 already was, and this DLC just is more of it. And I'm gonna have some finality later tonight when I finish it, and I'm gonna be very sad.
yeah. I am
It's
happy
awesome
and sad for you, my friend.
though. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's been fun watching you and Jerp talk about that in Discord. Uh, you know, shout out to anybody who wants to join. The JRPG crew that we got over here. Always looking for more. Uh, you won't see me in there. Because apparently I can only play Western games, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
But that kind of seems
sounds
to
like a
be
problem.
the deal. I sometimes when I like hear what I say about JRPG stuff, I'm like, am I going too hard on this? Like, because I like poking fun at it. I hope you know that I only mean it because I can only say it because you're my friend. Like I wouldn't go so hard in knocking it if I actually didn't like it. So I'm really glad to hear that you're continually having a good time. I'm glad you got Jerp to be able to talk to about it because with those games being so dense, like those seem like the kind of games where you'd have to you almost have to talk in code. I mean, I imagine, I don't know, to be like, okay, how far are
Yeah,
you? Okay, no, what have you seen? No, I mean exactly what have you seen? Because
yeah,
you describing how you can't really talk about the game, you can't make people understand without spoiling it is the same as I've been playing Casey's mod talking about Inscription, which by the way, there's a
hmm
Devolver sale going on. Check Steam, go buy Inscription. It's great. I can't tell people what's so good about it really without spoiling it. So just like everyone on the internet, I have to be like, look, if you trust my opinion, then just go play it right now. you know, I would love to talk to you about it, but I can't. So to have someone along for the ride to be like, okay, did this happen for you? Yes. Did this happen for you? And like as you get further and further, you've got to be more cryptic about what you're saying, so you don't like give something away. Um, but I mean,
yeah.
it just sounds
You
like
have to be like, so are you about an hour and a half into chapter 4? Like that's about all you can say.
totally. In Red Dead Redemption 2, they have chapters, but the chapters only show up when you play through the linear story, right? So if you're a side quester, um, if I like doing side quests, so for me, chapter 2 took a long, long time, but it turns out that if I had just played a tiny bit more in the main story that they wanted, I would have immediately been in chapter 3, which is when, if I recall correctly, that's when some really good stuff happens. So it was funny. People are like, how far are you? What chapter? And I'm like, bruh, I haven't seen a chapter screen in so long that I couldn't tell you where I am. So it wasn't until I played past it that I was like, oh, I've been on chapter 2 this whole time. Now at least I've got like a marker in this open world game where I can determine what in the world I have and haven't seen. But even then, I guess another question I would have with Xenoblade, the DLC specifically, um, I imagine you would only play this game after you've been the base game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, technically you can, though. If it's still right now it's not a standalone, so right now you still have to access it from Xenoblade 3. I don't think it limits you to having a finished save file though. So in theory you could, but you there's no reason for you to.
But why would you? Yeah.
You would be mostly lost. Like Xenoblade 2, the Torn of the Golden Country, the final expansion for that one theoretically you could actually play before the main game. But this one definitely just don't.
Yeah. Why would you?
Yeah. It would take a lot of the emotional toll from Xenoblade 3 if you did.
Okay.
Because it's all emotional. Like
Yeah.
you will cry so many times. I'm gonna cry all night whenever this is done.
I'm excited for you, buddy. Well, cool. Then that's I mean, what comes next? Like, uh, it's Xenoblade 3. This is, I think, the final DLC for this game. Question mark.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, then, based on what happens here, I mean, are you expecting? Will there be a Xenoblade 4? Does the ending of this determine whether or not there would be a Xenoblade 4? You know, was this the kind of thing? Is this kind of series where they're like, ah, whatever. Of course, there's another one. There's always another one. You know, where they can always just like write it in.
There's always another homage to one of the series. That's Xenogears Xenosaga. So uh, there will be another game of some sort.
Okay.
That's for sure. But I mean, it's like 5 years, so
Well, let's see. I guess I'm just throwing trivia at you here. What do you think the difference is? How many years were there between the second and third game? Is this something that's been lying around for a while, or is it a pretty consistent thing?
it was literally 5 years between two and three, and
Oh,
they were working. They were clearly working on three at the end of working on two. That's what's wild about it. The whole release date for the main Xenoblade 3 game being pushed forward. Like they had this all figured out and planned out a long time ago. So they're already working on whatever's next. So I am not worried in the slightest about it. I mean the team was working on this and two fucking Zelda games and Pokemon. Like they are mad geniuses. If you're going to trust anybody, that any developers trust Monolith Soft because eh, Monolith Soft is the shit. Like Xenoblade 2, again, I played 250 hours of that. I just surpassed 250 hours of Xenoblade 3. 2 had barely more than 40 people working on it. At the same time, they were creating Breath of the Wild.
wow.
Like
Uh,
they're mad.
the opposite of that, I just read an article that Blizzard has lost so many employees over the past 2 years that they can't ship their games on time, which of course includes Overwatch's single player mode that I've been looking forward to. It is what it is, and Blizzard has had, they deserve, well, deserve as much as anybody working at Blizzard deserves, the punishment that the CEO should get. Uh, they dug their own grave to some extent. But I'm enjoying playing Overwatch right now with my friends, and people are excited for Diablo 4. But yeah, they certainly aren't. They don't have the reliable shipping schedule that the Xenoblade team has. If they're already rolling into the next project before the first one's wrapped up, I wonder how much overlap there would be between teams, or if like a new team just starts until the old team finishes up and then joins, kind of thing. I wonder what that would look like behind the scenes. I bet I
Yeah,
could find
since
that out somewhere.
since I the this game the Future Redeemed actually has a little title sequence at the very beginning of it, and they did have a separate team, a separate part of the team working on it. So they had like a second director sort of situation going on in this one. So it was side by side with the main game stuff, which
That,
is just really cool.
yeah.
Very similar to Platinum Games, except Platinum, has started sucking. So
Oh well. Um.
Xeno's literally only gotten better. It's wild.
Yeah, that's dope. Okay, well that's Xenoblade Chronicles 3, the Future Redeemed Wave 4 DLC. Gosh, that was a mouthful. But you guys, if you've been here, you've heard all those words before. You're familiar. So that's exciting. Yeah. Yeah, you're finishing up that. Did you finish Fire Emblem Engage?
No, I am finishing Fire Emblem Engage over the next couple days before
Okay.
the end of April. So that'll be two JRPGs that I finish in April
Boom.
because I'm finally back,
Back,
mostly
baby.
healthy. My arm is still hurting a little bit every once in a while, but it's not
Well,
as bad as it used to be.
hope you can still do some 12-ounce girls. You know.
But at the very least, I will have some JRPGs done. My list from the blog is wildly different now, but most of the same games. I did pick up um, Trinity Trigger, which is very reminiscent of some old past games. One of the original, I think it was one of the Saga artists, actually is part of the dev team on Trinity Trigger. So that one's probably my next JRPG.
Well, right on. I'm looking forward to that, man. Keep rolling. You and Chrome. Chrome was telling me the other day of all the games he's beaten. I mean, he's given you a run for your money, at least in years past. Just cruising through them, and like I don't even know. I've probably beaten a game. I don't know. Maybe the last game I've beaten was on New Year's Eve, beating Spelunky. I mean, I think that might be the last one though. Who
Oh,
knows?
oof.
But
Yeah, I mean, Zeno will be my 13th of the year. So
13th, and we're about to start the 5th month of the year. Okay, it's not bad at all. I'm glad we're not competing because way behind. But let's see. What do you say about a quick break, real quick? And then we come back and we talk about our favorite video game protagonists.
sounds good to me.
Bet. Okay. Then chat. We will be back in just a few minutes. I'm gonna go say hi to Lizzie. She tends to walk in the door right as we start recording. Yeah, chat. Let us know your favorite video game protagonists. Maybe your current favorite, all-time favorite, anything in between, and why they make the cut. I'm interested to see how many people's favorite protagonists are different from before, where I feel like voiceless protagonists were a lot more popular. But now, like everybody's, the protagonist always talks. Like even if you think of like Knights of the Old Republic and stuff on BioWare, you'd pick an option and your character would just say it. You would just be assumed that they said it because it wasn't voice acted. And then the people who are the NPCs would all voice act back to you. But it wasn't until Mass Effect that your character actually responded. So I wonder how much people's lists have changed since, Link still doesn't have a voice, but it's about the only one. I guess your Skyrim character doesn't really either, huh?
Yeah, Protag definitely needs to be not somebody that is an extension of yourself.
Yeah. No more Links. The Link's cool. Not ripping on him. But somebody's got to teach that man to speak. Okay, I'll be right back. Man, it's like 60 degrees out or something. But oh man, the sun is on my room, which is it faces my room, which is really great when it's cold. But boy, I can already tell it's gonna be a warm summer. Do we have
Steamy.
do we have AC in here? I don't think we have AC. Okay, I don't
I assume
think
if
I
you have
have
to think
AC.
about it, it's a no, right?
I mean, I'm pretty sure, but this building is definitely newer than the two places we've lived, and it's becoming like a little more common for people to expect there to be AC because this region's been getting hotter lately, like past 10 years or so. And the worst thing is, it's not even like just the heat; it's that when wildfire season hits, the smoke is so bad that if you like, you're recommended to close all your windows. But if you close all your windows, it's like sweltering. There's no AC. So, yeah, a day at a time. But AC sure sounds cool. Oh, you know what? We have a unit. We have an AC unit in our wall. So that's way better than nothing. But anyway, it's not wildfire season yet, so I'm not going to gripe about it too much. But not looking forward to it. Wildfire season sucks. It is not great. Oh, Kitty's crying. Kitty? We're about to start the show. Oh, she's really excited. We got to get back to the show. Sorry, everybody. Oh, God, I might have to close the door.
She's yelling.
Yeah, what up, girl? Navi, come here. Yeah, Lizzie just walked out of the apartment. You can always tell. Can you hear that as clearly as I can?
Yes.
Hey, girl. You chilling? Do you want to be on the show? I can bring you a microphone. Yeah? You're just upset that Lizzie's gone, huh? Yeah, I know. Me too. Oh, jeez. Well, yeah, just come on. Your bed's right here. New power supply means I can get some new toys. It means, even though this is not a priority buy, it does mean I can get another another webcam. I want something that's not AverMedia. I will never buy another AverMedia product. It is a very not English-based company, and it is really difficult to figure out their software or where to download anything. Not great. So I'm excited to get something new. So I might, after I upgrade, finally dedicate this webcam to be our kitty cam, because Kitty does have a spot lined up right here. It's a dream come true. It's wonderful. But how about we get back to it? Okay, so our party topic tonight, with just the two of us, we wanted to pick. This is Vilos' suggestion, so shout out, give credit where it's due. Was our favorite 2 or 3 top video game protagonists, right? So your main character, and that could be anything that you guys want. I'd love it if you let us know in the chat, in the comments, in the Discord, all that good stuff. But we've got a short little list lined up. So, Vilos, what if we started with you and we knocked out both of yours at the same time?
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Right when Odysseus asks who's behind me, it's great. and just a reminder, this when we say protagonist in this case, a protagonist in video games is a little bit better than what they are in movies and stuff. In these cases, a protagonist is basically anybody that is in the lead group of characters that have a really important part of the story. Because in video games, you can actually play as them, so that's a little bit different than how they're characterized in movies and stuff. So
Yeah, typically, right, like a movie has like one main character, but in a game that especially is an ensemble. I mean, you have an ensemble like Mass Effect where you only play Commander Shepard. So Commander Shepard's the protagonist. But lots of games, like you said, lots of games that you've talked about tonight, you've got a whole cast that you play. So yeah, that protagonist definition can it's certainly changed a lot in the past 10, 20 years, where the option of fleshing out a bunch of characters and putting your player in control of all of those characters, it's just not something that you used to be able to do. So, Vilas, we were joking before the show that there are only a few. When you think of the best of all time, there can only be so many bests of all time. right? There are good ones, but then there are the ones that are legendary that really go down in the books. But it is all subjective. So to some people, I was saying that I often forget a lot of games that I've played. A little while ago, somebody asked me, um, they were like, "What's one of your favorite card games, the card video games that you've played?" And I completely forgot that I had ever even seen Inscription. And then after I gave some great, answer, I was like, "Oh, right." But actually, my number one answer is the thing that I have neglected to mention up to this point. So it really does depend on the time of day, maybe the day of the week, that I'll give you a different answer here. Um, but you've got a couple here. Um, let's see. What do we start with? So well, you mentioned an ensemble, right? So where do
Yeah.
these characters fall for you? And actually, even before you tell me about these characters in the games, do you prefer? Do you find yourself gravitating towards kind of the lone wolf protagonist, or do you obviously you love these JRPGs that have a huge ensemble, but do you really gravitate towards individuals within those ensemble, or do you think of it more as like a group affair? Like what do you move towards the most when you're like, oh, my top characters look like this?
That's the interesting thing with playing so many games that have parties, and especially the Xeno series, because the the last I mean, this Xenoblade 3 has a party of at least 6 at all times, and you can switch in between all of them. And really going back through the games that I've completed over the past couple of years, it's a lot of that similar stuff. Just the whole RPG side of things. Fire Emblem has a lot of great characters. I really thought hard about many of those. The thing with the JRPGs and the strategy games, tactics kind of stuff that I play most of, um, really is about that party working together, and they all start with very particular archetypes. And sometimes it's a stereotype versus an archetype. Because a lot of people want to lean into it. It's like an archetype is technically not good or bad. It's just something that's stuck. And a stereotype is definitely looked at more historically bad. That's when somebody says, "Oh, Pyra and Mithra from Xenoblade 2, they're just big boob ladies." No, that's the stereotype. They do have an archetype, unfortunately, and that is Mithra is tsundere. So like there's all these little facets of JRPGs that have a very specific thing. I really do like these ensembles, but at the same time, I do find my little niche in between these particular characters. Um, and I'm going to leave the Zeno thing to my number one. I'll leave that to last. So um, my second pick was Mercia from Wargroove, and again, strategy game. You do have a party, and a lot of little side characters and stuff like that. But Mercia, if you grabbed the picture from the Discord, I don't know if you
Yep, I
did.
got you here. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah. But Mercia here, she was a princess of Cherrystone, this kingdom that you started in Wargroove. She becomes the queen of the kingdom at
Oh,
the
not
very
bad.
beginning of the game because her dad is tragically killed
Oh
in
man,
the
hate when
very
that
first chapter.
happens.
Spoiler alert. The prologue is her father getting killed, and technically you play the character that does it, so it's
Oof.
it's kind of
Wow.
amazing. And that's just one of
I
those
hope
things
he's the
that's
bad guy, I guess.
no.
Oh no.
But it's really funny
She's a great
looking back on it
character.
like that.
First thing you do, murder her father.
Yes.
So off to a great start. Immediately you love her,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, you got to.
because she's not dead like her father at your hands.
You're right, though. You're right. And as you can see, like looking at this image, you're like, okay, she's this battle chick. All right, cool. What more is there to her? Well, she is a fantastic warrior. She is also has to come into this position of being the leader of a kingdom, and it just from almost the very first second of the game, and you see she has this mentor figure that she rides around with as well, and she has to go across her kingdom, basically reuniting parts of her kingdom that were kind of neglected over the years, uh, in order to bring them all together against this final evil to fight. And this is technically a spoiler warning, but again, this is a game that would take dozens of hours to get to this point. But by the end of the game, you actually unite all the factions of the kingdom, and you're playing as all of the leaders of the kingdom in the last few battles, and it's amazing. Um, but not to say that isn't cool, but the very very final bef- before the epilogues and shit, there's strategy games are wild. Like they do a lot of things. There
And
are epilogues and stuff with this, but
and this is
specifically,
uh, Wargroove 3. I get mixed up with how
no, there's
many.
only one more groove.
Oh, there's only one.
There, yeah, there was a recent announcement for a sequel, but yeah, there's
Was
Wargroove,
there
and then
like
there was a DLC.
there wasn't like a war? Okay, I
There
thought
was
one of them
DLC
had
for
tactics
Wargroove.
in the name.
No.
Oh gosh, I should do my research before I show up. I'm sorry, but okay, so this is Wargroove. I just want to mention that again. Uh, who this character is from, or where this character is from.
um,
The Emperor's New Wargroove. Thank you, this is.
there we go. I probably am louder. I don't know if I actually moved my mic. I might have done that. Um, so at
I
in
will.
the actual final mission of the game, you go against Mercia herself, an evil version of her.
Oh. Ooh.
The entire time, like she's goading you, and the whole point is that it's technically an evil version of her that's being projected by this ultimate evil, whatever. But you're still going against basically, her self defeating parts of her. You know, you're really going against her psyche more than anything at the end of the game, and it's just a really great exploration of a character. It's not like brand new, but for it to be done in this kind of game, that's relatively a new thing. Um, because you do start off with archetypes. She is just the basic tough warrior uh, that becomes a leader. It's like, okay, I've heard of that before, but um, throughout the entire game, you do get a lot of dialogue, and for it being a pixel art game, there's quite a lot of cutscenes, and you do get to know her in the way that she's second guessing herself, becoming that leader that she knows she needs to be, and again through dozens and dozens of hours, uh, you find that she does have it within her, and she reunites this entire kingdom, and her final battle is against herself, and the end is incredibly gratifying. Um, you just see
Groovifying?
how
Is it groovifying?
it is gratifying.
Yes.
You just get to see how all the other characters, with their own problems and their own adventures, their own journeys that they took, how they all congeal as a team, and really, they really give her a sense of pride at the end. And you're like, okay, she's going to be fine as the queen of this kingdom, and it's just really neat. She's definitely one of my favorite characters, period, over the last few years.
Dope. Well, wow. I mean, look at that. This is the equivalent of the air horn. Whoa, 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 whoa. What's her name
I
again?
do like that you can do that. Mercia.
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 Millennia
Yep.
is. I keep writing that Elden Ring article that the guy modded his whole game to every enemy in the whole game is Blade of Makella, the toughest enemy in the whole game. It's what the hell. Anyway, this is Mercia, not Makella from Elden Ring, and not Mercy from Overwatch. This is Mercia from Wargroove. Everybody, I was gonna have
Yes.
you do back to back, but could I actually jump in with this?
Yeah, do
Uh,
it.
because this segue just writes itself. So the character that I've got is Madeline here. Oh, that's not how you pull that up. Madeline from Celeste, everybody. Another wonderful game that I forget that I've played until something comes up about it. Madeline is the protagonist in Celeste, a game where you are trying to climb Celeste Mountain. Um, it is a game where you are jumping and dodging and dashing your way up to. Yeah, you can find hidden collectibles, but as Madeline reminds you many times throughout the game, that's really just uh, if you want to set a challenge for yourself that you want to reach. You can complete the whole entire game without finding those strawberries. And the reason that I say that is that this whole game is a metaphor for anxiety and depression, right? You're climbing your own mountain. Well, Madeline is climbing hers. She's trying to escape all the troubles in her life to get away and go climb this mountain. But just as in real life, going by yourself to climb a mountain not a very good idea. So while she's not only struggling with her own anxiety and the manifestations of that, the mountain itself is very dangerous. And so when she finds another character on the mountain, they keep meeting up, and they're kind of just like airing, why they're here. And then they kind of get in trouble and help each other, so then they become friends. But Madeline is this wonderful character that kind of represents the you know soft elements of people, of players, right? Of what it means to overcome things like anxiety and depression in a serious way, but that's still charming, endearing, a little bit funny, and not too serious. Because there are plenty of games that tackle this subject matter that do it in a way that can either be a little too on the nose, I think, especially in like some like visual novel. Not visual novel, but like choose your own adventure things. Like Life is Strange, I think is good, but sometimes it just went a little too uh, a little too on the nose, that I had trouble really getting super into it. And it did what it came here to do. I just realized that that wasn't the kind of game that I wanted it to be, and that's okay, because a game like Celeste really spoke to me, especially in the fact that like a lot of the game, you wouldn't expect a game like Celeste, a platformer, that's pretty difficult, but with amazing accessibility options, which not only is just great as a gameplay experience, but it's really great for the subject matter, right? Of overcoming, doing what you need for yourself to reach your goals. And so I'm not just talking about why Celeste is such a good game. It's why is Madeline specifically such an interesting character. Well, yeah, she does find somebody on the mountain who, they hang out at the campfire for a bit together. They save each other's lives on a treacherous, what's it called, like the gondola up in the air.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say air trolley, but I'm glad I came up with the word. She does all this, but the manifestation of her own self doubt is a shadow version of herself. Just like you said, you fight an enemy version, like a dark version essentially of Mercia. That's exactly what Madeline does. Maybe just every character with an M at the start of their name has to battle their inner demons on the outside this time. But what ends up happening through the course of the game is that you see your shadow self as an adversary, because they very much are trying to stop you. Um, they're trying to cut you down both verbally and like physically in the mechanics of the game. They're trying to stop you, but over the course of the game, as Madeline talks things out with herself and with her dark self, also with her the guy Theo, I think is his name, who she meets on the mountain, and then also in like postcards and one-way phone calls to her mom. Uh, Through all of this, you kind of see Madeline's growth, and finally, by the end of the game, she comes to terms. She reconciles with everything going on with her internally, but also kind of treats the shadow version of herself that's full of doubt and all this, and wants to bring people down as a result. You know, they become friends, and then by the very very end, the wonderful culmination of that is they blend the gameplay mechanics of what would happen if you had uh, twice the resources, essentially. Like, what if you could double jump instead of single jump? And the final level of that game is this wonderful section where you basically feel like you have superpowers, because the whole game you've had only one dash, only one, a handful of other mechanics to get you through things depending on the level, but you've had one mechanic. And so the culmination of Madeline coming to terms with all of it, with herself, and embracing the negative aspects of herself. And when they come together, it's like in Dragon Ball Z when they fuse or something. It just seems like it feels like you're unstoppable. And so while there's still this challenge to the final level, there's definitely challenge. You really get this gratifying culmination of who this character is, the good and the bad, and what happens when she addresses her um, inner turmoil in a healthy way. So it's a good storytelling mechanic, but it's just wonderful playing as Madeline, who has text, who all of her text appears on screen, but there's also this like modified synth sound that plays when any of the characters talk that does a very good job of conveying tone. It's very impressive. But that's all you get from her. You have these sounds going, so you have like a synthesized, almost like a MIDI sound as her voice, but it's so clear, both literally and metaphorically in the game. I think they did a really good job with it. The mechanics of the game could have carried this game pretty far. But Madeline as a character and the writing that surrounds this sometimes touchy topic, I think was enough to really put this game at the top of my all time list. Um, and I hope more people go to play it. You don't have to be looking for the story to play a game like this, but it certainly makes something like this a lot more memorable. It could have just been simple. It could have just been a challenging game, and that was it, with cool mechanics. But I think they did a great job with this one.
And the gratification is probably the strongest part of that entire experience. And I mean, the just that final level, like when you look at the levels from the level select section, it's like that final level is like a third of the mountain,
Yeah,
but you're just blasting through it.
it's long, long. Even if you look at the soundtrack on Spotify, you've got like all these tracks from all these songs, and then the one for the final level is like over double length of just about anything else, and they all loop. But the final level just has so much in it that they're just like, man, we need a whole new soundtrack. We need disc two of this album to play just for the final level. Um, yeah, that's Madeline right there. She's great. But now that we've talked about both mirror twin protagonists, let's bounce it back to you.
Yeah, I'll actually go with my runner up real quick. I thinking about the whole protagonist thing. I mean, she's definitely still up there, but Senua from the Hellblade series was really close to that spot for me, uh, towards the top because of the performance. So that was another aspect of it for me, um, because so much of Hellblade: Senua's Saga, or Senua's Sacrifice, was so metaphorical. Like there's obviously dialogue in the game, and a whole lot of cutscenes, but there almost every bit of the emotion in the narrative is metaphorical. Um, so everything that you see on screen and that you hear is just so important. And Melina Juergen's performance just brought so much to it.
Oh, and you
Uh,
cannot you cannot
like
talk about her without mentioning that she was not originally supposed to do that job, right? Wasn't she the sound designer? Do I
she's
have
a
that right?
video editor.
Video editor, and
She's an
they
editor.
had her. They were like, "Hey, try this out," and she just did some lines for the character, and they were like, "Okay, you are our main character now." She's like, "I am not a voice actor." Like, what?
But the because it was such intense motion capture, like it was just it took all of that, and they expressed so much character with Senua. But I was like, you know what? There's still more to that character that's coming, and I know it's going to be great. So I can't put her as number one here, but I do have a number one,
Drum roll,
and
please.
anybody on my Twitter knows. But if you if you want to share the bottom picture that I put on Discord, the one that says from Xeno 2.
Uh,
Um,
I definitely renamed everything when I put it on my computer. The
no,
the
nice.
bottom one you said.
Yeah.
Cool.
So my favorite is gonna be Nia from the Xenoblade series. She was in 2 and 3, and has a very major part in the background of Future Redeemed,
Oh, nice.
because the person that you see behind me is her daughter.
Oh.
And so the thing is, there is an entire journey with Nia. Nia is this. Whenever you get the
Oh
picture up, I'll
yeah, I
actually,
got it. I got it.
because
My
it's
Stream Deck is
very
amazing,
important.
but if I don't know how to use it, then there's the real trouble.
Right. So you see Nia at the beginning of near the beginning of Xenoblade 2. It's seriously not even at the very beginning. There's so much game.
Can we get?
But
We should get a whole podcast that's just like, okay, spoilers, but they're only from the first 5 minutes of any game.
it really could be. So you see Nia here. She is an early party member in Xenoblade 2, but she's this rambunctious. Obviously, look at her face, like she's giving resting bitch face. But it's also because she's a cat, you know.
Is
She's giving this look, and
I have to ask, is
that's
she
pretty.
both of these characters, or is she only the human on the right? I mean, the humanoid on the right.
No, she's just the humanoid on the right. Her pal Dromark there is a pal that she's had for a long time
Sup,
in her
Dromar?
life, but he is a talking tiger, so
Oh,
that's a
what's his
thing.
voice
He's
sound
a
like? Is it deep?
It's deep and wisdom, like very much an Aslan sort of
Hmm.
voice. Yeah, but
Sometimes
yeah,
when uh, gosh, I knew the answer to this and I forgot. Is Xenoblade all in English? All English voice acted?
yeah. The Xenoblade series has specifically Welsh, English actors,
Okay.
and they use American actors for very specific things, which
Oh, that's
is a
right.
whole topic in itself. It's great. Um, but as you see,
They're like in
Nia
the first
is
5 minutes of the game, Americans arrive on the scene, and
yes.
they're just like, "Oh, I get it. So you're the American clan."
But as you see Nia here in the beginning of Xenoblade 2, she is a very animalistic, very a little bit unlikable in the beginning of the game, because you play as the main character Rex, who is just this 14 or 15-year-old boy that's just trying to survive.
Just trying to get by,
And
man.
yeah, just trying to get by. He's literally salvaging stuff from what's called the Cloud Sea. So he dives into the clouds and drags up whatever crap he can find to sell later and build stuff out of. And
Is there a lot of floating metal in the clouds?
uh, listen, there's a lot. It's another lore dump. But Nia is part of this team that is trying to do some potentially nefarious things. And through story beats, you find out that she was kind of roped into it. She doesn't want to do the bad things that this team is wanting to do, and so she eventually does become part of your team, your party. This is Xenoblade 2. You have 3 technical party members, and they have additional party members that are doing their thing. They do the attacks and stuff.
Your party members have
Um,
party members, and your
it's
pets can
ridiculous,
have
dude.
pets.
Yeah, and so she's called what's called a driver. So she can command these blades, which is what Dromark, that tiger dude, is. Um,
Okay,
she can,
say that again for the people in the back.
yeah. Okay. So brief Xeno thing. So Xenoblade 2, you have your main characters who are called drivers. Nia is a driver. Rex, the main character, is a driver, and they have what's called blades, and those blades are actually characters themselves, like Dromark there. They actually do the attacks for you in the game, and
Interesting.
yeah, and
Does
it
he
is
like turn into a
interesting because it
sword that you
does.
can just put in your backpack?
No, guess what? He has well, actually no, he's mostly a tiger. And Nia actually has these chakrams that she also can throw around, and he can kind of control them too. It's a whole thing, as Xenoblade
I
is.
love I love that
Um,
everything about Xenoblade is it's a whole thing, which is true because I remember
yeah.
when we showed the trailer when they first dropped the Xenoblade 3 trailer. The trailer's
Hmm.
like 10 minutes and it's constantly new stuff. There's no recycled footage at all. Like
Hmm.
you feel like you're constantly watching a new game every time it goes to like a new scene, and it'll end, and you're like, oh, that's the end of the trailer, and it's like, oh no, there's 7 more minutes to go, and like a new thing starts up.
Yeah.
They're like, check these out.
But
They're cat sword people,
yes.
kinda.
And so it's actually funny that it's kind of necessary to get into that because um Nia, as you go along, you're gonna find that the main characters, have some commonalities. They have to get along somehow throughout their adventure, and bad shit happens, good shit happens. But along the way, they find extra party members, and a lot of evil things are done to them. But throughout this whole process, you learn some backstory with Nia and how she was abused by this particular person in her past, and she ended up having to become what's called a blade eater.
Did she have to eat the cat?
No, she had to technically eat her sister.
Not better. Not That's worse.
Her already dying sister. All right.
Oh,
Um,
then
but again,
it was a matter of time.
yeah. But again, it's this whole thing because in this world, being a blade eater is like looked down upon, like you're a subhuman sort of thing.
But if you're a sister eater, it's not really a big deal. In fact, it's
oh yeah, sure.
encouraged.
Hmm.
Um,
But yada yadaing past it, um, the thing is that she had a lot of reservations with opening up to people, and being a part of the party that she becomes a part of uh, really changes her for the better. Again, she starts out very unlikable and very just brash and in your face uh, and violent, but it's because of the way people treat her. And in the beginning of the game, it's really one of the funniest parts of Xeno 2. You find that your party is like wanted, and there's a wanted poster of Nia, and it's fucking hilarious, and it's a meme and everything. But they made a wanted poster in game that is Nia's face, except it's got a fake cat muzzle on the front, like she's actually a cat in the wanted poster, and it's the funniest thing. She's like, "Do you really think I look like that?" Like she gets super pissed.
I
Um, but
didn't even catch my good side.
yeah, but you go through all this stuff together, and about 75% of the way through the game, this is the actual big spoiler if you're planning on Xenoblade 2. Um, but it's fully revealed what a Blade Eater actually is, because Blade Eaters uh, live basically forever, um, and they're incredibly powerful, like just ridiculously overpowered. Like the bad guys that you're fighting, uh, most of them are Blade Eaters. So when you find out that Nia here has basically equal footing with the bad guys that you're trying to fight and you're losing against at the time, it's really this huge thing. And she has a literal transformation, which I didn't show that photo of, but it's very similar to her final. She has this transformation that is like everybody that knows Zeno is just like, all right, let's dumb it down. What is this transformation? It's hot. Okay, fine. We got it out. We got it out. So she goes from this very much, you know, just regular adventure, scrappy person, um, and then she transforms into this high heel wearing, uh, like just incredibly graceful presence.
Is that
And
like her true
she,
form?
yes, that's the thing. She does establish that with the other party members that it's she can finally be herself, and
Let her
she
hair
actually
down.
can. Yeah, yeah. She confesses her love for the main character Rex in this cutscene. It's one of the greatest cutscenes of all time, and she does the transformation. She does that. She tells him that she loves him, and during the battle, uh, Rex's famous words, "Nia, I love you too. I love you and all you guys," talking to the entirety of the party.
Oh, jeez.
And she's like, "Oh my fucking god. Okay, yeah. Great." So it's unrequited. Uh but he's a kid, so it's whatever.
Oh god.
And So it's just this really funny thing that happens, but it's a major character point for everybody in the game. And when she is in this Blade Eater form, she technically becomes a blade. So Rex, main character, can actually
Eats her.
use her in battle in a different way, and it's really cool. But that's the lead up to Xenoblade Chronicles 3. And in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, hundreds of years later, again, because she
Ish,
can live for a
roughly.
long time. Yeah,
Oh,
roughly. Again, because she can live a long time. Uh, spoilers for Xenoblade 3.
I mean, at this
sh
point,
yeah,
spoiler
yeah,
tags,
yeah.
Xenoblade. Yeah, the
Yeah,
people are
yeah,
here for it.
yeah. Uh, ain't nobody else playing it. um, she is one of two queens in this new world in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 because the worlds of Xeno 1 and Xeno 2 combined. And if you put up one of the other picture of Nia, um, you'll see that there was quite a glow up, to say the least. Um, and she's a different person because she's got on a different mask. Hundreds of years have gone. She actually did get with Rex.
Let's see. Did I put the right
Uh,
one on?
yes, yeah,
Okay,
that's the right
cool.
one. uh, she has remnants of her old costume when she's in adventurer form, but she also has a queen form. Uh,
Oh, you gotta have, yeah,
but
you gotta have a queen form. You gotta have a party form, a formal form, but then like a casual Fridays form.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but the thing is that she's wearing a mask again, but it's of her own volition because she has risen to this ridiculous heights of being a queen and a mother. Like she literally goes through so much of her life in these games. It's insane. Um, and
Hundreds
you're
of
there for
years,
all of it.
guys.
I mean, yeah,
She's
you're
like,
you're
bruh.
there for all of it. And she's not just words on a screen. She has an outstanding voice actress uh, that's lending this awesome character, and that's what the video that I put in there was for. If we can have the audio on it, um,
You bet. Give me just one sec.
because it's the most memorable thing about her.
Let's see. All right. Nope, wrong button. Huh? Oh, Vilas,
There
I
we
don't
go.
know
I
how
see
to
it.
run this thing. Okay, sorry, hold on.
Um, I see you are in good company.
They're kindly serving as my bodyguard. They're assisting me with a number of other matters, too.
The assistance goes both ways, actually. We all one big, happy family!
Yes, that's right. Family.
Indubitably. I have a rough grasp of our present predicament.
Bloody hell!
Oh, I guess I restarted it. Hey, why not listen to it twice? No, but so that's her or no, she's the
Yeah.
oh my gosh. People have people's classes based on their hair. You've got lightning, fire hair, you have cat hair or
Mhm.
cat ear hair.
Mhm.
You have angel wing hair, and then you have like what is
Most
this?
of what you're seeing is the race.
It's like
So
Seraphim Hill, or like
yeah.
I don't know if I'm using the right one. Oh my gosh, how many
No,
wrong buttons can I
we'll go through like a Zeno podcast one day just to get you the explanation. But as you can see, the one in the robes is Nia in her queen form, her queen garb, and that voice is her iconic thing. You're hearing her actively mask as the queen. At the very beginning of the clip was her normal attitude, her normal tone, which is just really funny and cute. But she has this really hard accent when she's in her regular Nia. When she's a queen, she's different, and you see all this stuff happen uh, actively. Like she'll do it in scenes where you're just running around and you're like collecting bullshit in the world.
as you
She'll
do?
run lines like if she's in your party, she runs funny lines throughout the whole game. Um, and same thing if she's in. There are different cutscenes for different kinds of parts in the game. Like there's heart to heart sort of sections where you get more character bits. It's a JRPG trope, and in those sections you just get more and more character. And Nia's are just spectacular, and they tell you who she is at every moment that's possible. And there's just so much deep uh, lore and love put into this character that she's very important to the Xenoblade franchise. But she's very much an everyman sort of character that people can relate to in some way, and I am attached forever, um, inextricably. Just she's just amazing. I could go on forever about that, but again, as you can see behind me is Mio. That's her daughter. You saw her in the in that little clip there too. So like in Future Redeemed, there's another descendant of Nia, and it's just a whole thing. Like you see how her character changed to become all these other people over hundreds of years, and it's just outstanding. It's phenomenal. I love it.
All right, well, you you've inspired me. You know, we joked about having the Xenoblade Chronicles 3, where you say that 300 times. We joked about having that a competition if you could say it 300 times before I beat Olmec in Spelunky 2. Now I think we have a new iteration of this. It is I try to beat Spelunky 2 and try to repeat back to you the Xenoblade lore that you tell me in chat over the course of the stream. You know,
That would be wild.
how many names can I get incorrect? Maybe I've got a you know, like I have a bird book that I like to look at, and I'll occasionally flip it open and try to read the diagram of what all the different parts of a bird are called, and kind of quiz myself, right? Use like a textbook. So I'll try to see if I can, you know, do that with all the Xenoblade characters. I'll be like, oh yes, this is her from the kingdom. She is 100 years old. She's got yellow hair, but golden angel thingies. It's great. But this is her. This is not her final form. You know.
Tis.
There's a lot going on. But that's rad. It's cool that you get to follow that character between the games. The fact that she lives long enough that, like you said, not only is she back, you know, further wizened, you know, to show up and save the day or whatever she does. But like you said, have descendants like that where you can see each of these almost like character parts of her, you know, in each of these characters. And you know, all of this is a wonderful segue to my protagonist, because not only does he live basically forever, and not only does his dad have a voice actor who had never voice acted before, just like Senua, like you had mentioned. But he's also got friends and family where you can see different character traits in everybody. That's right, it's Zagreus, everybody. It's ya boy. Hades is a very wonderful game that has been near and dear in my heart for a while, but it's been on my mind lately because I got a good buddy of mine to play through it, and he's been cruising through it, so he's been talking to me about all these things. You know, when he discovers stuff, he's like, oh man, I can't believe the way that this all wrapped up between these two characters, or I wasn't expecting, you know, this thing in the lore to pop up based on the mechanic of what was happening in the game. For those unfamiliar, Hades is a roguelike, a beautiful roguelike, isometric, where you've got a whole bunch of abilities from all the different gods from Olympus in Greek mythology, and you try to escape the underworld. As you do, you build all these relationships with not only the people in the house of Hades in the underworld, but also with the Olympic gods, so Ares and you know, any others. I can't seem to think. Zeus, Artemis. There are many. I just couldn't come up with them in that moment. As you go through the game, you get to recognize all these character traits and stuff. It just happens as you play, so you're not really making decisions or anything. But to put you in the shoes of Zagreus, the game does allow you to choose what order you grow certain relationships. So what that ends up meaning is, like for me, I love Karen, the shopkeeper, who says nothing but like groans and grumbles, like he cannot speak. But naturally, the person who cannot speak is the first person that I decided to befriend. Um, yeah, you befriend him, and you get like lots of little changes in the way that they speak to you, and eventually you usually unlock some sort of in-game mechanic that will pay off in some often unexpected way. But the through line of all of that is that you, as Zagreus, when you build these relationships, it not only feels organic and real, it feels like Zagreus is a multifaceted character, but as the writing is done in such a way that all of these bits of dialogue, I mean, I've spent a little over 100 hours playing that game, and you don't really see repeat lines of dialogue. Eventually, some things will just stop popping up altogether. That way, you don't have to hear them over again. Like when you grab a boon from a certain god, that it might just go straight into the selection screen instead of doing a line of dialogue. But it took like dozens and dozens and dozens of hours to get to that point. Up to that point, all of the dialogue between your character Zagreus and all these other characters just kept going. I mean, it just had all these little facets to it. Not only is the voice acting done very well by Darren Korb, the guy who makes the music for those games, but the voice acting for all these other characters is wonderful. Hey, and it's Charon, Charon, not Karen. You can say it either way, but don't be calling the police on us, because I am the underworld police. Get used to it. And actually, Zagreus kind of is the underworld police. The whole point is that you're trying to break out. You're trying to test the security of the underworld to escape. That's an oversimplification of what you're doing in this game. But at its core, you're trying. It's like me trying to install or trying to play my computer without my new power supply. I was playing it to break it, just doing my best to see where its weaknesses were and identify the weak points. But as you do this, in the story, you have this complex relationship with your father, with Hades himself, eventually with your mother, who's somewhere in the mix here, and then all of these characters that will help you or not really hinder you. Nobody really hinders you, but they will kind of challenge you, because not everybody is just on your side immediately. And in fact, by the end of the game, these people who were enemies earlier on are now your pals. Everybody's a big happy family. Maybe you're polyamorous and you've invited everybody to your bedroom. Look, I don't make the decisions. Zagreus just covers a lot of ground. But he really is a very interesting character, and the fact that he can have all these very interesting relationships with all of these people of different statuses. I mean, some characters are gods. Other characters are, immortal in the afterlife, but like Achilles or like Hypnos, who is just this goofball who greets you every single time you die and reappear in the House of Hades. So you've got all that. You even have Skelly, who is the target dummy who just yells one-liners at you. Sounds like he was raised in Boston. Even him, he ends up having all of these interesting interactions, and it's all because these tiny little bits of dialogue that Zagreus has, where sometimes he's sarcastic, sometimes he's very frank, or even curt. Other times he's just very direct, but in an endearing way. He's just a really good example of a character that seems like a real person. Like, he seems like he's actually responding in a way that someone would in his position. And he's juggling all of these relationships at the same time while still remaining the same Zagreus that he was at the beginning, right? Like, he definitely has character growth. But I think it's just so impressive that, in a game like Mass Effect, most of the time, a lot of your relationships, they come to fruition on the battlefield, right? Like, you'll have a lot of conversation with people, and then you basically unlock like a loyalty mission, and then on the battlefield they'll be stronger and they'll have different responses that they'll give to you as you see them. Well, Hades is a lot like that, but it almost your runs you're always by yourself. With Mass Effect, you always have an ensemble. Xenoblade, you always have an ensemble. But in this game, you are only ever by yourself doing one-on-ones. Technically, there could be multiple people around, but there isn't really like group dialogue like you might see in similar games. So the fact that Zagreus can seem like a real, true person across all of those different relationships from the beginning and the end of the game, I've just found so impressive, and I'm so excited to be able to share that again as my friend is playing through. And he's past me. He's already blown past how far I've gotten in the game. Because as I often say, while I love roguelikes, I'm not especially good at them. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm very passionate about them, but I get my ass kicked all the time. But hey, when you're playing as Zagreus, it's not so bad to get your ass kicked because there's always some either good combat or good dialogue on the other side of it.
That's kind of the point.
It's kind of the point. You just keep playing it, and it just keeps giving. There are still question marks in my customization screen in Hades, so there are at least 2 characters that I have not befriended enough to get like a special item, special ability. So I'm not sure who they are. I feel like I've befriended everybody, but I know a couple. Actually, I know at least one. I need to keep doing Achilles' storyline, but yeah, Zagreus is part demon slayer, part therapist to the denizens of Mount Olympus and the underworld alike. But I think they've done an excellent job across the board in that game. It's why Hades, like Celeste, is in my top games of all time. And you don't even have to be somebody who likes roguelikes to enjoy that game. So if you have a chance to go play it, it's available on a bunch of platforms. But I really enjoyed it on Switch. My friend played it on Steam Deck. It really is a very good handheld game. Go check it out. Go find out why Zagreus is so wonderful and why that game straight up keeps on giving. It just basically never ends, and I don't want it to. I just want more of it. And hey, we've got Hades 2 on the way. So as if I felt satisfied before, we're gonna see another new character. Not totally sure who this character is. Seems like it's Zagreus's, yet to exist sister. So I hope that she is, half as cool as he is. I'm sure she will be. But yeah, it's the good stuff. So that's it. We both had 2. Imagine how long we would have gone if we had Chris and Sav both here. We'd be.
It could have been wild.
Oh, it could be wild. So we'll have to revisit this topic again sometime. I mean, the nice thing is, I've talked about 2 of my favorites now, and then I can keep pulling from the stack because there are so many wonderful protagonists out there, in new games and old. So yeah, chat. Tell us in chat, in the comments, online, wherever you get this, and tell us who your favorite protagonists are and why they made the cut. But I think that's gonna be it for us, for the 2 of us, Vilos and myself, Tegan here. For the podcast, anyway, we're gonna wrap this up, and then we're gonna play some The Last Case of Benedict Fox is what it's called. We had a bunch of games we could have chosen from, but this game has a I don't think you actually play as Benedict Fox. I think you play as someone trying to solve his mystery. But we figured this was appropriate. Play a single player game tonight, inspired by the party topic. So we'll get that wrapped up here in a minute. But as far, and Vilas, jump in if I forget anything. As far as upcoming things, we've got Leap that we're going to play this weekend. Hit up our Discord to get details on that. If you're not there, it's discord.gg/partyinviteshow. You can also find all of our socials on our website, partyinvite.games. That way you can be alerted in case you're somebody who listens to the podcast, not on release. That way you can keep up with all of our events. Odysseus, thank you for putting that link in chat. Odysseus, along with many other people, represent the mods and wonderful players in our community. So come play with us. We play lots of stuff, not just Leap this weekend, but lots of survival games, lots of shooters. Vilos, you mentioned wanting to get people back together to play Rogue Company again soon.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that I've missed, and I know that we've got several people that are really fucking good at it. So definitely want to hop in that sometime in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I'd like to have more people jump on Chivalry. I looked and I didn't see an immediate indication, at least on the app, that Chivalry 2 is disappearing, but Google might say something else. Oh, this is funny. I'm in Chivalry 2 on the Xbox app. I scroll down, people also like, and then Celeste is on here. Celeste and Chivalry 2 couldn't be any more different. Name one overlapping.
It's literally just you also like.
Yeah. Oh, that cracks me up. I don't think I could come up with one single thing that those games have in common. They're both probably pretty good on a controller. That's about as far as I can get. But anyway, join our community, play games with us. We've got lots of wonderful people, and if you're like us, every game is better with a crew. So hop in on that. Well, we'll take a short break, but as far as the show goes, Vilos, thank you very much.
Yas.
And
I love talking about Welsh catgirls, so.
That's right. I'll be back on Monday, and no show next week, so we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Catch us again Thursday night. Bye.
Later.